You're really special to me. Oh, hi, baby.
Don't baby me.
Now, Joni, hold on.
So I'm special, huh? Everybody was right about you, Tip. You're a real creep.
Today's video was selected on the basis of a Twitter poll. Check my Twitter feed every Sunday if you'd like to vote for Tuesday's video. And thank you to my patrons, Joshua Bartlett and James Schubach, for making this video possible. Hello everyone, this is My 2 Cents. Today I'd like to talk about the subject of trust and promises. This is more of a generic video about smart living, but the subject has been brought to the forefront of my mind by a number of events lately, which I will mention in due course. But first, it's time to have another story time here on My 2 Cents. For the first time since The Ant and the Grasshopper. I'll be telling yet another of Aesop's fables, this one being The Farmer and the Snake. Once upon a time, it was the dead of winter. There was a farmer who went out to the fields to tend to his livestock, as he did every day. As he walked through the snow, he heard a weak voice calling out from the ground, "Please, help me." Looking down in the snow, the farmer saw a snake, and not just any snake, a viper. A deadly, poisonous snake. He immediately reached for his knife, but upon closer examination, he realized the snake could barely move. It was nearly frozen to death. The snake continued to fight to speak. "Please, please, sir," it said, barely able to hiss. "I'm at the point of death. Please, help me get warm." The farmer took a step back. "You're a viper. Why should I help you?" The snake began to cry. "Please, sir, I'm almost dead. I couldn't attack you even if I wanted to. Please, I beg you, help me to get warm, and I promise that no harm will come to you." The farmer's heart softened, and he took pity on the snake. Gently picking him up from the frozen ground, the farmer slipped the snake into his jacket, close to his heart. As he continued to work, the snake began to slowly warm up, and gradually it began to move. Then, suddenly, the farmer felt the sharp pain of the snake's fangs digging into his skin.
Oh, yeah!
The farmer felt paralysis coming on as the snake fell out of his jacket and began to slither away. As the farmer felt his knees and his vision began to blur, he realized he was dying, but with the last of his strength he managed to open his mouth. "Why?" he gasped. "I took pity on you." A devilish smile crossed the snake's face as he looked back at the farmer. "True," he hissed, "but don't blame me. You knew I was a snake when you picked me up." Now, the moral of this story is simple, but it's one that too many people forget these days. The moral is that trust cannot be conjured up. It can only be earned, and that the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. Now, from the time we're children, most of us are taught that forgiveness is a virtue. When someone does you wrong, you need to have the heart to forgive them. Forgive and forget. People change. The world would be a better place if we didn't hold things against each other. The sad fact of the matter is, most of the time this is garbage. Now, so that no one misunderstands, here is what I am not saying. I am not saying that you shouldn't forgive someone who is truly repentant, exercises genuine remorse, and takes actions to correct their behavior. I do believe in forgiving people who are truly sorry, but that truly sorry part is the key. Even so, however, a person merely saying that they're sorry doesn't mean I can trust them. Trust is something that must be earned, and the only thing that can earn trust is cumulative patterns of behavior. There's also the issue of promises. From the time we're children, we're taught that it's important not to break a promise. But I noticed something. The only time anyone ever feels the need to say the words "I promise" is if you didn't trust them to begin with. In his book, The Gift of Fear, Gavin de Becker points out the difference between a promise and a guarantee. A guarantee is something like a legal agreement. It offers some form of compensation if the other party fails to deliver on the agreement. A promise, however, is simply a verbal statement from someone saying, "Please, please believe me." Whenever you hear someone say, "I promise," red flags should immediately go up in your mind. Typically, a person won't feel the need to say "I promise" unless they can sense that you already don't trust them. Therefore, by saying "I promise," they've inadvertently brought your distrust to the forefront of your mind. As Gavin DeBecker says, you ought to say, "You're right, I am hesitant to trust you. Thank you for pointing it out." I'm sure most of my viewers are already familiar with the recent case of YouTuber Red Pill Black, aka Candace Owens. If you're not, however, there are some links in the description, so go check those out. Here's the short version. Miss Owens has a YouTube channel, and she identifies herself as a former liberal who was red-pilled and now has chosen to speak out boldly against the left. However, recently a YouTuber named Tree of Logic exposed her as having been behind a doxing website called Social Autopsy, where she intended to give people the opportunity to dox anyone who spewed so-called hate speech, to include minors, mind you. Despite her claim that the Social Autopsy website itself was the thing that got her red-pilled, Candace has been caught lying about the facts behind the website and lied about the fact that it was up and running for more than a year. She previously claimed that she and her associates had already gathered more than 22,000 profiles that they intended to dox. Further, other YouTubers like Tree of Logic have demonstrated that despite Candace's claims that for the past year the website has merely been a splash page, it did in fact have multiple web pages and it possessed the ability to upload a dox. While the website has since been removed, Candace now claims that the YouTubers who are speaking out against her are part of a liberally funded smear campaign against her. To date, however, I am not aware of any evidence she has actually provided to support this bold claim. Over and over again, Candace has claimed, "All this is over, that's my past, I've been red-pilled." Two problems, though. The first, I have yet to hear her once actually directly condemn Social Autopsy for the bad idea that it was, and two, she has not been owned up to the fact that she has been caught lying about the nature of this website on multiple occasions. Candace wants us to trust her. She tells us she's been red-pilled. The problem is, trust is not something that can be conjured up. It can only be earned. And a liar can always be trusted to lie.
Me, I'm dishonest. And a dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. Honestly.
The second example I'd like to talk about has to do with dating relationships and marriage. Those of you who are familiar with my channel are aware of the fact that I am no fan of feminism, and that I am very passionate about informing women that while I support their right to have sex with as many men as they would like to, I believe that this disqualifies them as good wives, and therefore they shouldn't be surprised when they can't find anyone willing to marry them in their mid-30s. Some people have asked me, well, don't you believe that people can change? Aren't you willing to forgive? Yes, people can change, but the only way they can demonstrate that they've changed is consistent patterns of behavior. You can't expect me to believe you've suddenly come to your senses and are ready to be a loyal and faithful wife after 10 years of sleeping around. Now, lest anyone think I'm giving men a free pass, the same goes for men. Ladies, if a man who has spent more than a decade being a player and sleeping around with lots of women comes to you and tells you that he's changed, that he's ready to be a husband, ready to be a one-woman man forever, you should be hesitant to trust him. It is not normal for people to so radically change their behavior overnight, and the only thing you have to judge a person's future behavior on is their past behavior. Again, I fully support the right of every person to make their own decisions regarding relationships and sex, but the simple fact of the matter is, a player can always be trusted to play. A cheater can always be trusted to cheat, and marriages between people who have had multiple sexual partners are statistically much more likely to fail. So the point of this video is that you should not trust people simply because they beg you to. Promises are cheap. The only tool you have to judge a person's future behavior is their past behavior. And while I support forgiving people if they are truly repentant, don't ever let them act like there are no consequences for what they've done. That's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks everyone for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. You can also hit the bell to ensure you're notified every time I upload a new video. This video was made possible by my patrons Joshua Bartlett and James Schubach. Thank you so much to both of them. If anyone else would like to donate and help ensure that I have the time and resources to keep putting out content, for just $1 a month you'll receive a shout out at the end of every video and the link to one of your social media platforms in the description. You can also follow me on Twitter, minds.com, VidMe, WordPress, and iTunes. Uploads are every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so stay tuned for more videos.